All right, ladies and gentlemen, it is Friday, May 15th, and today we are going to you're going to take a quick multiple choice assignment here. It'll be posted in Google Classroom for you. I'm just going to read through the questions and then go and before we read over the questions and kind of guide you into where you should be looking for the answers. I want to go over a couple administrative things so you guys know that your grades for the fourth marking period are based on two categories of assignment. One is assignment, like this one here, like your map that you did last week, or last week. Or if there's any other short writing assignments, there'll be assignments. You're submitting those. I'm giving you feedback, assigning some sort of grade based on a rubric, or in this case, whether you got the question right or wrong, and then that's going in PowerSchool. If you don't get a 100, if you don't get the grade that you want, you can resubmit your responses to get a 100. That's for the map. That's for this. If it's done late, if it's done on time, no penalties. The other type of assignment or the other category of grade is participation. And to earn full participation points, you have to try your best each week to complete all of the assignments or all of the classwork that is posted. So each week, going back to since that spring recess ended or would have ended, we've had three classwork assignments per week. If you do all three, you get 4 points for participation in that week. If you do two of the three, you get 3 points. If you do one, you get 2 points, and if you do zero, you do zero. That's the policy that our department came up with last week or a couple weeks ago when we had that presented to us. If you miss an assignment and you get less than a 4 one week and you want to go back and make it up late, totally fine. Make sure it's submitted in Classroom, even if it's submitted late, and then I will get an email. You don't have to send me one. I will get an email that is telling me that you did the assignment, and I will update PowerSchool to fix it for you. All right, and then on to this assignment, this multiple choice assignment. All right. Question number 1. It says, the harsh terms, so this is going to review all of the stuff that we've covered in World War II so far. So we're talking about long-term causes up to and including the American home front of World War II, that is. So the harsh terms included in the treaties ending World War I have been used to explain the what? Fascist revolution in Spain, the Bolshevik revolution in Russia, the rise of Nazism and Adolf Hitler in Germany, or the Armenian massacre in Turkey. So just as a guide for each question, I'll try to give you guys a hint to help you along. We haven't talked at all about the fascist revolution in Spain or the Armenian massacre in Turkey. Those are two things that happened. Neither of them had anything to do with the end of World War I, though. Right? If you want to go back into your notes from earlier this unit, you can choose B or C as the best answer. Question number 2 is based on this chart. So we're looking at events from 1931 until 1939. The question says, based on the information provided by the diagram, which statement is a valid conclusion about the 1930s? So basically, which statement is true? Which of these 4 statements is true? So before we look at those 4 statements, let's look at the events. Japan invaded Manchuria, northern China in 1931. Italy invaded Ethiopia in 1935. Germany sent troops to the Rhineland just outside of the French border in 1936. In 1937, Japan made a full military invasion of eastern China. Germany added Austria to its empire. Then Germany added the Sudetenland, a border territory in Czechoslovakia, to Germany. Then Italy took over Albania. Then Germany invaded Poland, and that is when Britain and France declared war, and that's when World War II started in Europe. So we're looking at these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 events. All right. Which of these 4 statements is a valid conclusion about the 30s? Did the United States lead international peacekeeping efforts? Did aggression lead to the start of World War II? Did the actions of Italy, Germany, and Japan unite Europe? Or did economic and social upheaval lead to the rise of democracy in Asia? So economic and social upheaval, that would mean that things were really unstable in Asia, and that led to the rise of democracy in Asia. All right, on to question 3. During the 1930s, a joint act of appeasement by the British and French was to do what? So before you answer this question, you need to go back into your notes and look up the word appeasement. So which of these 4 things was an act of appeasement? Was it when Britain and France signed a treaty with Germany to outlaw nuclear weapons? That didn't happen. Was it giving Czechoslovakia's Sudetenland to Germany? Was it entering into an alliance with the United States? Or was it supporting independence for German colonies in Africa? So I told you already that A is not the right answer. So go back into your notes, go back into your readings about appeasement to see which one of these three items is an example of British and French appeasement. The next question is based on a quote made by, or a speech made by Franklin Delano Roosevelt. And Franklin Delano Roosevelt said, "The people of Europe who are defending themselves do not ask us to do their fighting. They ask us for weapons, which will enable them to fight for their liberty and our security." So our is the United States. Their liberty is the liberty of countries in Europe. Emphatically, we must get these weapons to them in sufficient volume and quickly enough so that we and our children will be saved the agony and suffering of war which others have had to endure. So what is the foreign policy that Franklin Delano Roosevelt is stating here? So what does Franklin Delano Roosevelt want to do based on this speech? Did he want to provide military aid to the Allies, Britain and France and China, for example, without sending troops? Did he want to maintain an isolationist policy toward the war in Europe? Isolationist policy would be not getting involved. Did he want to expand the military power of the United States, or did he want to secure a declaration of war against the Axis powers? So I'm going to help you out. One other item. He says he wants to save American children from suffering of war. So he did not want to secure a declaration of war. Oh, that's the right answer. Oh, I could pause this and redo it, but I'm not. What are we doing here? All right, moving on. The right answer to this was provide military aid to the Allies without sending troops. This, of course, is the Arsenal of Democracy speech that Roosevelt made in December of 1940. Moving on. Fast forward about a year, and Franklin Roosevelt said there was a day that would live in infamy. Which of these four items is the day that would live in infamy? Is it the attack on Pearl Harbor, the defeat of the Germans, D-Day, or Black Friday? Black Friday being the 1929 crash of the stock market. On to the home front, American home front in World War II. A major cause of the internment of Japanese Americans during World War II. You might need to go back and look up what the word internment means. So what caused Americans the United States government to intern Japanese Americans during World War II? Was it national segregation policies, immigration quotas, racial prejudice, or economic depression? And the last question, an economic impact of United States entry into World War II was that the United States, what happened? Did they become a debtor nation? That means did they loan money to other countries? That's not true. Did they become nearly bankrupt? Was the American economy sped up from the Great Depression? Or was the United States forced to accept government ownership of most industries? D is not the right answer either. The United States did control, or they had a lot of influence in what businesses produced during World War II, but they didn't own major industries. So those are your 7 questions. Use your notes to go back and look up the answers. If you feel like your notes aren't enough and you want to go back onto the internet, you can do that too. Of course, I'm going to highlight and suggest that you use your notes. That's going to be it for this week. On Monday, we are going to talk about some of the major events that brought World War II to an end, kind of looking at how the war was fought from the beginning in Europe and in Asia, and how the war progressed and how it ultimately came to an end. And then we'll look at some of the aftermath of World War II next week as well. Otherwise, I hope you guys have a great weekend. Have a great day, and I will talk to you all soon.